to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody here is in Craig.
Craig is absent with notice.
With notice. Okay, student recognition, Winnie Dip, United Sports Participants.
We are so excited this evening to have our students and staff here who participated in the Winnie Dip. They raised over $7,500 for the Special Olympics. Quite an accomplishment. We had Ms. Dumais and Mrs. Clark were the organizers of the event. Also, Officer True, who is here, raised over $3,000 on his own. So, quite an accomplishment. So I thought I would turn things over to Ms. Dumais and Mrs. Clark to share a few words about the event, and we'd like to make sure we give some recognition to our students.
And we're actually going to have student representative Jessie for it.
Excellent.
Speak.
Where do I say?
Right up front center.
Little tight room.
Hello, school board members and Superintendent Moriarty. My name is Jesse Ferran. Thank you for this opportunity to speak about our newest Interlakes Club, the Unified Group. This group started over the winter and provides an opportunity for students without disabilities and with to get together and have fun. We currently have 4 unified mentors and 7 unified mentees. We have 2 advisors plus other staff members, and we are funded through the Special Olympics. Being that this is a new club, we are very proud of what we have accomplished so far. We succeeded in raising over $7,000 through our Winnie Dip fundraiser. $2,000 of that came back to us. We have played basketball and volleyball together on Thursdays during our group time. Today, we went on a field trip to Fun Spot to celebrate our Winnie Dip success. We are currently planning some final events through this school year, including a Unified Field Day, which will take place in June at Newfound High School. This will be an opportunity for us to get together and meet other Unified Group members. I personally really enjoy the warm-hearted community of Unified Group. Thank you for letting us come and present here tonight. Please enjoy this brief slideshow showing some of the fun we've been having in Unified.
I gave it to Mark last week. He said he'd take care of it. Mr. Parsons, I'll take care of it. Just a minute. I'll have it. Just a minute. All right.
Well, maybe we can do certificates. Well, we're
Yes,
looking
yeah,
at
okay.
that.
We can get the certificates.
Let's see.
You need help here?
We're good. I think we're safe. Oops, sorry here. All right, so Skylar Clark.
Skylar also raised a lot of money for the fundraiser.
Congratulations, Skylar. Well done.
Jack, you have your phone?
Yeah.
I don't have my phone.
Okay.
Otherwise I would reshare it.
And Ben, congratulations, Ben. Well done. Well done. Nice warm hands. Mine are cold. Joey wasn't able to make it.
No, he's
Okay.
gonna try. I know he
Okay.
has something going on.
Trying to do the kids first. And Jesse. Got our adults here. Hold on. I guess we are at the adult part. So we have very good sport, Officer True. And we have Tracy Pratt. welcome Mrs. Clark, who is very thrilled in the video.
Thank you. I'm almost there. We're almost
And
there.
Mrs. Dumais. Miss Dumais. So sorry about the video. I didn't realize, if we can't find it.
Should be in your inbox already.
Oh, it should be in your inbox.
Oh.
Buffering.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I will tell you, Miss Dumais had shared with me that she had to pick up some T-shirts, and so, for the Winnie Dip, and it was, I don't remember what date it was, and I thought, kids aren't going in Winnipesaukee, are they? It's awfully cold right now.
Ice is out?
This was about a month ago.
Oh, ice
We
was
did
in.
get lucky because typically you do have to jump in the lake, but because of COVID, it's been virtual the last couple of years,
So they had buckets of water.
Oh,
So
still cold.
I thought we were bringing everybody into the lake in March. I was thinking that might be a bit much.
$7,500.
Yeah, right.
Well,
yeah.
maybe members of the school board next year would like to
Oh, right,
volunteer.
You set it up.
You're after the administration.
Oh, come on, Charlie.
We're not doing that.
Don't know if you
Just
want
make
to
the
move
votes
on
when we
to.
high school.
Yes, I think we'll
see how you're doing.
Just let us know what, if you get that, and we'll move back to you, but let's do business of the board. Committee assignments, Mrs. Moriarty.
So,
We have it
Chair,
ready whenever you're ready.
Oh, let's go back then. We're gonna go back,
Okay.
sorry. That was wonderful.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you to the parents for coming out tonight.
Yeah.
This is-
Oh, I can get that too. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Ben. Come on, buddy. Come on, Ben.
Charlie, that outfit is available this summer.
Yeah, as long as it's a triple XL.
For a $3,500 donation to what he did.
Okay. Business of the board, committee assignment interests. Mary.
So Chair Merrill, and I had a chance to speak, and so presented our committee assignments. Certainly if someone has further questions to connect with Chair Merrill. I think it's important to distinguish policy review and negotiations. Those are committees of the boards. The others are representatives to other committees or groups that meet, but they are not committees of the board.
So if anybody has any issues with, a lot of you said that you had some interest in certain ones, so, but if somebody needs to change or whatnot, just let me know. Next, do you have a question, Henry? Okay. Next on the agenda is public comment section. Do you have any public comments?
As of 6:13, no public comments.
Thank you. Interlake Student Board Representative update, Riley.
Hi, good to see everyone again. So starting with the high school, we actually had sophomore class host our first school dance since before COVID. It was a very successful event from what I've heard. It was for the middle school. They raised over $750. And there's actually going to be a high school dance this Friday hosted by the Future Business Leaders of America Club. It has a cool glow-in-the-dark theme, so we'll be interested to see that. So it'll be fun. We have the underclassmen are starting to take the naturalization exam as a part of their requirement to graduate. And they have been provided with practice questions to practice for this exam. I myself have been practicing too, even though I'm not required to take it. It's really cool to try to take this test. So yes, super exciting. The 7th grade actually leaves for Cape Cod on Monday. I remember this trip very well. One of my favorites, super fun, especially the coach bus ride was super cool. Yes, but yes, the community feeling we got from there, just amazing. And then the Laker bots actually, which is very interesting, they scored 11th out of 40 teams at their most recent competition, and they look forward to finishing off the year strong with their next event in Massachusetts. From the elementary school, we have representatives from Mara Vista that visited the school twice, once for parents to learn and ask questions about their program, and another time for students to get to know like what they're going to be doing. Once again, this is where students from the 6th grade class at ILES and Sandwich Central School get a chance to mingle, get to know each other before they move on up to 7th grade. I also remember this one very well. Super fun opportunity too. And then also super exciting, next week is Read Across America Week for the elementary school, where students and staff alike get to enjoy very fun reading activities. Their theme is fairy tales and folk tales. And yeah, they have events such as book giveaways, and they have the Principal's Challenge as well. And then I emailed Mr. Hilger. He didn't get a chance to get back to me about this update because he is in Washington, D.C. with the 6th grade class right now. So, and that's all I have for you tonight.
A brief update to robotics. We just found out that they made it into the top 80 out of 180 teams, and they are very hurriedly getting ready to go on to the next round of competition, which is going to start tomorrow. So we just got that news today. Mr. Derek is figuring out all the transportation and getting ready to go compete.
Yeah, I'd add a little to Ms. Donna's comments. I was at the robotics, I got to read questions, judges' questions, and before they went into the competition, and our team is thriving. And the stuff they do is really, really neat. And I know Mark's had the opportunity, if any of you others have a chance to go by, please do.
It's really amazing.
But
how the team can do
the accomplishment, though, they are a very young team. I mean, they only started the year before COVID, and then COVID upset the apple cart. And here they are, they've come together, they've coalesced so well. And to finish 11th, because many of these programs have been around for over 10 years, and that's a huge advantage. So right now, we have the luxury of finishing well and having a really young robotics team. So it's just great, and Joe's done a great job spearheading that effort.
It was great to watch them compete last weekend and overcome some big things that happened to the robot in the middle of competition. They were 6th when I got there out of an impressive list, and then lost a swerve drive and had to fix that. And it was amazing to watch that team in action. Amazing.
I should say, I saw them at Sandwich Central School when they came down, and they're so great with the younger kids too. They really inspire those kids, which is wonderful.
Diane Decker-Booty, who is a paraeducator in Sandwich, is coaching the Sandwich team. And she shared with me it was great because when they went to show their, I think it was ILES to show their robot, it didn't work right away. So the kids were trying to, figure things out. And I think the high school team had a problem too. And it was just a really great example of how sometimes things don't work, but you talk it out and you try to fix it. And, you couldn't have planned it better, she said. It really, that experience made it very meaningful for the kids to learn.
I'll tell you, one of the most impressive things to me is, and this is somebody who played organized sports through college, is a team.
Mm-hmm.
They do. They work so well together. Everybody has a job and they do their job, and it's impressive. Sorry, I don't mean to wax too hard. It's just exciting.
Great.
And another shout out is for Wizard of Oz, which happened just a couple weeks ago, which was outstanding. And Riley was an amazing scarecrow. It was incredible, absolutely enjoyable to watch. So
That was our first full production of any since before COVID, and it was really a really great opportunity for all of the young children,
and it
all
was
of the young
packed.
students to.
It was a
It was
full
nice.
full
It was
house.
Yeah.
Was it recorded, do you know?
No, I think due to pirating,
Yeah,
they don't want it,
Freshman.
they
But-
did a phenomenal
Yeah.
job. Really, first rate.
it was a great last show.
I loved all the younger kids, all the elementary kids. They looked like they had a fabulous time.
They were
Munchkins?
so cute.
Yes.
Well, they were munchkins, they were monkeys, they were
Yes.
lots of different things.
Just their excitement as they left the school to walk up the hill, to the big school, so, yeah, it was just great.
So I missed it. I did hear wonderful things. Moving on to the minutes of the regular school board meeting, March 22nd.
So moved. Second.
Any corrections, any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Current bills payable. So in your packet, the general operating expenses, attachment 3. Okay. Manifest 3019. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the payment of bills, manifest 3019.
Second.
Any questions on any of it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Superintendent, assistant superintendent enrollment is Maureen.
So enrollment is fairly stable. We are down 2 students from last month, but nothing, significant at this stage. I'll certainly entertain any questions the board may have.
Any? Seeing none, how about the financial report, attachment 5?
So if you have attachment 5, I can certainly answer questions. We are certainly seeing some funds coming back in relative to grants, which you'll see noted there, as well as grants and costs that are due.
Any questions? Staffing update information.
So our staffing, presently, we're kind of staying where we are certainly That's where we're spending really, our time trying to hire for next year. And we, are in good shape relative to teachers. We have some positions that I think we'll be finishing up as we could get closer to the end of this month. And if the board was receptive, it might be helpful if the board would consider probably like around April 22nd, I think that's Friday, for maybe a short meeting, or that Thursday night or something, to be able to bring forward nominations so that we can hopefully get contracts. It makes it easier for us to know we've secured somebody. It also makes it easier for another school to know that somebody's secured. But I'll know a little bit more as we continue to work through the month. We do have one for this evening to bring forward. Actually, one that is in your packet and an additional one that we'll be bringing forward. And then hopefully at the end of this month, we'll be able to wrap up a few more of those positions.
Okay. Update school student problem identification and resolution of issues together, school spirit program.
So Dr. Downing has been hard at work to get the spirit program pulled together. And so she will share this evening an update.
Yes, so I'm working with Lindsay Weiner, who's a member of the community. She's helping me out with reaching out to some of the facilitators who are the adults that are going to help us out on May 21st when we have our first student meeting. This Friday, I'm having several brief meetings with each of the classes because I feel like it's important for us to have an in-person introduction to this program and discuss with the kids why we're doing this and why their involvement is important. So our hope is on Friday, after all those meetings are complete, we're going to send out the student registration form. And from that registration form, we will hopefully get our list of 60 or more participants, because 60 is kind of the minimum. And for a school our size, it's going to be quite the endeavor. So there's going to be a lot of incentives for students to hopefully join us on that day, where we will hopefully have lots of food and fun and t-shirts and lots of school spirit, and while also sticking to the important nature of what it is that we need to do through this work in improving our school climate and culture. So that is essentially the status update for that piece.
And we know the board had expressed some interest. We were thinking that maybe the board would like to do a welcome. Really, the goal of the day is that the kids get into groups and really do some deep work, and they do have a facilitator there, but we want to give plenty of opportunity for kids to feel like they are in a place that they can speak really freely. Our hope was the board could frame it with a nice welcome, and then afterwards have a couple kids come to the next school board meeting and share some updates. And then this is not short work. This is work that, we see will continue, so there'll be lots of future opportunities. But, if the board is receptive to coming on the 21st.
Yeah, Mrs. Weiner is reaching out to everybody to kind of give an idea of what that's going to look like and what your involvement will look like if you'd like to be there. And I did reach out to some individually as I'm looking for some representation from Sandwich. So anybody that may come to mind, please forward me their information so that I can get that info to them, because there's a short training, about 2 to 3 hours, one of those days leading up to the May 21st, that's required by any of the community facilitators. So just so people can get their calendars.
So that's April 21st?
May 21st is the date, and it's a full day, which is a Saturday, and we'll meet at ILHS.
And you're thinking like a start time of 8:30?
It's probably going to be a start time of around 8 a.m. and would probably wrap up around 3 to 4. We're still kind of working out the logistics, because some of that will depend on how many groups and how many students we get. So it's still a little fluid.
And so the board wanted to plan on around 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And I'll formalize invites as we get closer.
All right. Correspondence. Any correspondence, Superintendent?
So I just wanted to make sure, I believe the board has received, potentially in your email, an invite for the ACERT, which is Adverse Childhood Experiences Response Team.
Yeah.
So that is this Thursday from 10 to 12. This is a great opportunity. We have the Meredith and Center Harbor Police Departments will be joining the ACERT, which is, you think about, that can be a range of traumatic events kids experience. It could be a child whose parents were in a car accident with a child in the car. And this provides a wealth of resources to help support the family through that. And so our Meredith and Center Harbor Police Department are joining in on this effort. Sandwich will be shortly, because it is a different county. So that's the piece, but,
Although I would point out, Siobhan is a parent at Sandwich,
oh, okay.
so she works in Meredith, but she has community ties and she's a neighborhood.
And the plan is absolutely to bring Sandwich in. It is the strangeness of being in two counties. Lisa Ransom and Caitlin Henshey. So Lisa Ransom is our outreach counselor, and Caitlin Henshey is one of our special educators with a focus on early childhood. They have been working to really have these, support these conversations and supporting kids and families through traumatic events. And so this is a celebration. It's a wonderful thing. And so the hope was to have some people there to help celebrate. So that is from 10 to 12, and you'll learn a little bit more about it and a chance to certainly commend the police department for their work.
Is there any other correspondence? Okay, old business in your packet, the school calendar for 2022, 2023, attachment 7.
So maybe one of the things I can share about the school calendar is we do try to do as much alignment as we can with the Hewitt Technical Center. We have about 30 to 40 students who typically go to the Hewitt Technical Center. We have less than 5 that typically will go to the Agricultural Center, which is out of Temisquam. That's a pretty small group. There are challenges with aligning calendars because there is contract language in every school district related or things that, some school districts like Laconia, I think they have often, I think they use some of the schools for voting. So then they typically will close during those periods. So that's not typically something that we would align with. But there is legislation that I don't know where it is in process that is about trying to minimize the disconnect between, we typically are one, I think we do a pretty good job, but we're not 100%. We do offer transportation on the days we're not aligned to bring kids. I don't think kids should be penalized for that. The hard part is it's another day of school. But we do have kids who do take advantage of that. They're committed to their program and want to have that opportunity. One of the places where right now that I'd say we have the disconnect is our parent conferences. Those 2 full days, that typically is where we have a disconnect. We just completed conferences. I think ILES had like 91% of families that participated. Sandwich was around that as well. They have a few folks they're still trying to get in. I would say we had 78 families, 7 through 12 that participated. We need to go back and look at the data and see how many students that, represented. What I will say, we did look at it by teacher, and 7 and 8, we definitely see more conferences. It definitely falls off 9 through 12. Certainly not what we want to see happen, but it may be something, for future conversations, that would be 2 more days that we would align. And so I think that's something for us to consider. And maybe conferences for the high school level are done outside of the school day or something to that effect. Your required hours for minimum standards, you have more at the high school level than you do K-8. So it may be an opportunity to look at K-8's calendar a little differently than 9 through 12. And I don't think that's a decision you have to think about tonight, but just trying to plant that seed. I don't know where that legislation will go, but it just makes sense. Kids who should know that share programming, the more the opportunity they have to be there, the better.
Barry?
Yes.
Sorry to ask about the administrative thing, but in March, does that mean we will have our school district meeting the week of the 6th?
So that's what we would be looking to propose. Yes. Again, the calendar has fallen. This aligns with all the other Lakes Region schools. And so it would not be what had been the past on a Wednesday, we would propose the 6th.
Would be Monday like it was this week. I
Yes.
think I asked that the last
Yes.
meeting. Yeah, that's the day before voting.
Right.
Well, actually, the voting isn't, it's the second Tuesday in March, right?
No, it's the
Correct,
seventh.
it'll be
It was
the
the
14th.
7th. It was the 7th this year. It was that first, remember, we had,
Because of the way the calendar fell,
Yeah.
yes.
oh,
But-
so that
but-
would have been the
but-
2nd. Okay.
Right, because it was the 8th.
It was the 8th, right?
Town meeting
Oh,
is the
good. Okay,
14th.
so it's still the week before.
Right.
Which would be better for the supervisors of the checklist. I know it was hard for them because they had to be on Monday night, but they had to be on Tuesday, and
All
it's a
day
long
Tuesday.
day,
It's a
so,
long day.
so,
We could then do it on Wednesday, could we not?
we could certainly do it on the 8th. So I think we will propose that calendar, generally in the fall, but we are much more mindful of it heading into it.
Great.
Okay, so we need a motion.
Motion to approve the 22-23 school calendar as presented.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
American Rescue Plan, elementary and secondary school emergency relief funds, ESSER.
So if you're able to turn to attachment 8, that might be helpful. One of the things I have engaged in conversation since we last had a chance to be together with Growing Roots. They're out of Plymouth. We've had very good success working with them for counseling. They were recommended to us by Dr. Phil Sanguiducci, who is a clinical psychologist. He does do some contracted work for us. And we have had really positive results with who they have brought in, as well as availability for some unique needs that we've needed to address. So Lane Dodge, Director of Student Services, Holly Beaton, Director of Guidance, and I met with 2 of the managing partners of Growing Roots to talk about what might potentially a contracted service arrangement look like. So instead of maybe going with hiring somebody as a licensed mental health worker who is working for us as the district, what would it look like to do contracted services with them? That maybe 2.5 days of that contracted service are for people who don't have coverage related to health insurance. Maybe 2.5 is for people who do have health insurance, but we're providing access during the school day. It's always a struggle to, right, we don't want to take kids out of class, but if kids aren't able to access their learning because they have a need for support, that maybe 1 hour a week out of class really benefits the rest of the week. They were very receptive to looking at putting together some kind of proposal. We talked about also support groups that they have run. They've worked for some private schools and have some support groups that they do after school that have been very beneficial. We talked about potentially a support group for staff related, these are hard times, and I think, having sometimes a facilitated conversation that might help people cope with the stress is beneficial, and that's certainly something with ESSER funds. That is something that, there is a concern about educator burnout in the time period that we're in. So I don't have anything yet from them, but they are working on that proposal. The other piece that I thought, and it was a public comment made last month, they would try to help have the provider meet the individual, whereas if you hire one person who is your licensed mental health person, that's the only option you have. Here, they would be able to look at all of their staff and say, oh, you know what, this group of students might benefit from this provider, this group of students might benefit from that provider, so you have a little bit more diversity in who's providing the support, which, when you're looking to provide that level of support, the connection is pretty important, and one size doesn't always fit all. So I think there's benefit to looking at it from a contracted standpoint. So no action on that this evening requested, more of an update in that area. Two places that I would ask the board to consider taking action this evening is the math teacher. So this would provide another full year of mathematics for the incoming grade 9 students. So they would basically get a double dose of math, which when they were in 7th grade, they're in 8th grade now, but when they were in 7th grade, because of how we were cohorting, we created a trimester schedule. The current 9th grade students, when they were in 8th grade, again, because of that cohort, they had the limited schedule. So this year, we've been able to provide those 9th grade students with really a double dose of math. And I think we're feeling like we're seeing gains, and I think it helps to close that achievement gap, and actually finish some learning. I think that's the piece that, I look at it, it's not that students didn't master something, it's unfinished learning. They didn't have the opportunity. So we would like to ask the board to consider supporting ESSER funds for that position. Making a decision tonight allows us to hire somebody. And, I think we're getting in, your window of time for education right now is really your window for hiring. Another month, it gets harder to do. People have signed contracts and it's a bit more challenging. The other one I would ask that you consider this evening is the Read 180. Again, we have invested in our retired teacher who has done a remarkable job. It is also, we get the benefit of not having to pay benefits, and it actually is a very cost-effective approach, and it really does allow us to create a diversified approach for literacy for students who are struggling to read. The other position, the ILES teacher, I think we'll know a little bit more in another month. We've got potentially incoming kindergarten we got to figure out. And so I think there's time for that one to percolate a bit more. But the math teacher and the Read 180 would be two that I would request the board consider using ESSER funds to support.
May I have a motion?
Question?
Wait a minute. We'll do this first.
I would move the amount of $62,154 for the mathematics position.
Second.
Wait, we'll put both positions together?
And in addition, I would move $79,400,
No.
$26,931. I was going to give them a
That wasn't it.
$26,931 for the reading position.
I will second that motion.
Using ESSER funds. Second, Duncan?
Yep.
Okay, any questions?
No, do you answer the question as to whether or not to just pass the motion as presented or do it piecemeal?
We should do it this way.
I would love to just put on the record that I'd love to see a report. We've heard that report on assessments and saw 2 places where math was behind. I'd love to see it next year to see,
Absolutely.
has this worked? Is it?
Right.
I'm just interested in.
And we will have data at the end of this year that will absolutely bring forward, so that people can evaluate, we can look at, the effectiveness. We did have, so our 9th graders took a couple weeks ago the PSATs. So that will be one of the indicators. The NWEA will be another indicator. They won't take the New Hampshire state assessment again because 9th graders don't participate in that, but the PSAT results and the NWEA at the end of the year will help us to see, as well as, we've been tracking the grades, the current grades of the students, which have been strong. But that's an internal measure, right? It's always nice to have an external as well.
It was 2nd grade, or I can't remember which elementary
Second,
years.
third.
2nd, 3rd.
So our current 4th grade class is a class that we have worried greatly about, and that's where that ILES teacher might potentially be where that support is, but we are kind of in that window of waiting for some new data. And so that will help us to see, what might make the most sense.
Great.
Mary, you talked about a double dose of math. How does that impact the scheduling for other curriculum?
So what So the ninth grade is on the block scheduling. And so that creates really 8 periods for them to have courses. Math is taking up 2 of those periods. So it certainly, it would limit electives or things like that, but there's still there's 6 other opportunities within there to have their English, their social studies, and electives, science.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I especially appreciate the increased intensity with both math and reading. And I don't want any of us to forget that these students lost a lot due to COVID. It's not just grade 4, it's not just grade 9, it's a lot bigger than that. It's school-wide. So anything we can do to focus on basic skills, increasing the intensity at the expense of time, I think just makes sense at this time.
Are we ready to vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, new business, nomination of professional teaching staff for 2022-2023 school year.
So you have in your packet, certainly if the board wanted to discuss in detail, that would be a non-public. So it's in your non-public materials, and then, do we have the addendum for, let's see, we can share. This is one that we Mr. Brian did a good job getting it in my hands. So we have one other individual. And certainly, again, if you want to discuss that in non-public. Sorry.
That's okay.
So we do this in non-public.
If you'd like to do that, certainly.
I have some questions, so I would prefer to, yes.
Good.
Okay, next up, capital improvement plan, roofing projects. I see Mr. Swanker is here.
Do you have any questions? It's
I'm
pretty much
sure,
the same as before.
I'm sure
as
one of us
planned.
will.
No, I follow everything that they do and bidding process, and I
Okay,
take no issue with choice of who to do the roofing.
So moved.
Second.
any questions? Do we have any questions?
Just to express my appreciation, we have solid information on which to base a decision.
Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Winter conditions maintenance contract extension.
I guess a little presentation. Both the extension motions on the board here is, we started together 3 years ago. And we were all new to the district at the same time. And I think I mentioned that in the memo, how, we've kind of built a new rapport and changed things and kind of manage it that works best for the district and the contractor relationship. And both have done an outstanding job. And, when asked to extend for 3 years and the minimal cost increase that they offered us, I think they enjoy working with the district and would like to continue on it. And I don't see any reason to change it at this point. So as hard as it is to keep employees, retain employees, going out to bid sometimes it just causes more issues. We have people who want to work and they're showing up on time and on budget and everything we want. So I was proposing we extend.
I would move Mr. Swanker's recommendation.
Second.
Any questions?
That's both of the Stevens and also
Yep, I
Turkey.
have the same statement for both, yes.
Yeah.
Should
Yeah.
we
Do you
do
wanna
one
do
at
it
a time?
separate?
We've got them separated though. What do you want to change? Let's do Stevens.
Yeah, let's just do them separate.
All those in favor of Stevens?
Aye.
Okay, so the next one,
Mysterium.
yep,
Turnkey.
turnkey construction. I'll make a motion.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. We're gonna go down to E. So, 2023 general assurances, requirements, definitions, participation in federal program, attachment number 12.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions on this?
You do this every year.
Yep.
So what I will share is you have an addendum this night for policy that I passed out.
Right.
That is a required policy that's part of the assurances. And that is straight from the New Hampshire School Board's policy on, it is
4150.
4150.
employment references and verification prohibiting aiding and abetting of sexual abuse.
But we can approve this first and then approve.
And then, as long as you'll approve this, so that then we are able to sign.
So Madam Chair, can we take this up right after we approve this?
Yes, so, yep, that's fine. Okay, so do we have a motion?
Mhm.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
So then the next would be, policy 4150.
So moved.
Duncan,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. So, non-resident tuition waiver in accordance with professional employee agreement.
So this is teachers who, as part of the collective bargaining agreement, do have the option of having their children attend school, provided it meets what's outlined in the contract. And so you do have a couple letters in your non-public materials this evening to approve. It is a total of, let's see,
3 or 4, wasn't it?
it was 4 students. And certainly if you want to discuss that in more detail, that can be in non-public.
I don't think we need to, it's part of the contract.
Did you get an email asking?
Yes, I did, we can talk about that maybe in
Yeah,
non-public.
that's what I was thinking.
Is that about this? Or-
For a much higher elevation question.
Okay.
Does it preclude us from voting on this?
I don't think it
No,
does.
no.
Because
Okay.
it's part of our contract.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
just seemed uncontroversial. Yeah,
So, would anybody like to make the motion?
so moved.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, donations. Your attachments are 13 through 18, there's many of them. Did you want to go through that?
I certainly can.
Okay,
Interlinks PTO has been, as always, incredibly generous and supportive of the schools. Funds to support the first grade field trip to Swan Lake Natural Science Center, to fund the 5th grade field trip to Seco Science Center, and to fund, help support Mara Vista Education Center for our grade 6 students. So that is over $1,856 from the PTO in support of our schools. We have several donations relative to After Prom, Altruza, $250. William O'Hare for After Prom, $287.
Wilma.
Oh, Wilma, thank you, I'm sorry, my apologies. We have $5,000 from Meredith Village Savings Bank for After Prom. We then have $632 from Trinity Episcopal Church in Meredith, Heart and Hands, to help fund the Quebec trip, which our band and chorus students will be taking, and $250 from Du Bois and King Incorporated for the robotics team. So incredible support.
so,
Motion.
motion to accept,
Motion to accept.
Mark,
Second.
Charlie? All those in favor?
Aye.
With thanks.
With thanks.
Gratitude. We've already done the policy, we kind of jumped ahead with that one. So additional business, members of the board, members of the administration. Our next is public input. Do we have any public input this evening?
As of 6:52, no, we do not.
Okay. Okay, moving right along to the announcements. Tuesday, May 10th, school board meeting at the Humiston Building. Policy review is at 5:30 and the school board meeting will be at 6 p.m. Tuesday, May 24th, Interlake School Board meeting at the Humiston Building and the regular school board meeting will start at 6 p.m. We're gonna be going into non-public.
Motion to move into non-public.
Seconded by Howard. Yes, Richard?
Yes, Ms. Merrill.
Yes.
Mr. Billings.
Yes.
Ms. Starmer.
Yes.
Mr. Cunningham.
Yes.
Mr. Porter Zucker.
Yes.
And I am also a yes.
Non-public.
Okay. We're heading into non-public, guys.
Shut that down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, thanks.
Thank you.